Hey guys, this is Tim from the Hybrid Network, and welcome to a new episode of Spotlight, the show where I pose an interesting question to you guys, and then you take it from there in the comments. Today's question focuses around legacy characters, and for those who happen to not know, a legacy character is a character who takes up the mantle of a previous character after they retire or die or move on to another mantle. Like the various characters who have been Robin over the years, or the various people who have been Captain America. But I want to put aside everything about who you think is the best character to hold a particular mantle, or your opinions towards the various people who have been legacy heroes or legacy villains in the past, and focus on the question of the day, which is, more often than not, are legacy characters introduced into comics to breathe new life into a story, or are they mostly gimmicks to either continue the story or to get publicity for the company that's making the comic? An example of the former would be a character like Kyle Rayner, who was introduced into Green Lantern because, in the 90s, common opinion was that Hal Jordan was boring. So they basically got rid of as much as they could with the character, destroyed his whole city, destroyed a lot of his supporting cast, and made him a villain, and introduced a new character to try to breathe new life into the Green Lantern mantle. And for the latter option, that tends to be the one that you see most often nowadays. Cause I don't know about you, but I think every single time anyone has mentioned Kamala Khan to me, either directly or in an article, they always bring up the fact that she's Muslim or Arab. And this defining of characters by what makes them different from previous people who held the mantle or even other heroes in general can even extend to characters who have existed beforehand but just happen to have taken up a mantle. Like recently with Sam Wilson taking up the mantle of Captain America or X-23 taking up the mantle of Wolverine. Instead of being referred to by those characters' names, at least in articles that were first talking about it, and honestly a lot of people in general, they are referred to as Black Captain America and Female Wolverine, even though they're established characters with long histories that for some reason people are forgetting about just because they changed costumes to a hero that was more well known. And companies like DC and Marvel know that. In fact, they thrive off of it. They try to use those sorts of things to gain exposure for themselves, get positive press for getting more types of heroes of a particular race, of a particular religion, of a particular gender that wasn't feeling represented before, and using existing mantles that people know about more so than they know about the people under the mask to push that forward to make it as prevalent as possible so that people will come and read that book to support the change and to support the new representation. But the gimmicks aren't all about representation. Let's go back and look at characters like Jason Todd, who was pretty much just created to replace Dick Grayson because they still wanted to use Robin, but they wanted to also have Dick Grayson continue on with the Titans since he's been spending less time around Batman. So the gimmick there would be to just create the same character again, which Jason Todd was when he was first created, solely so that they wouldn't have to get rid of the Robin character in the Batman books, and so Batman could continue to interact off of him. But for another point in the first category, we can also compare that to the introduction of Tim Drake, who was introduced for a story-based reason since Batman was getting increasingly more violent as time went on due to grief for losing Jason Todd, so Tim Drake took up the mantle so that Batman would have a positive influence in his life, and therefore pushing the story forward and helping develop this new character, Tim Drake, and Batman himself. And there are even more examples of these on both sides, but there are definitely solid points towards either view. So what do you guys think happens more often? Is a legacy character introduced to bring new life to a character or to expand another character into a new role? Or is it mostly a gimmick to gain readership or to prevent the status quo from changing too much? Let us know below, and until next time, this has been Tim from the Hybrid Network, signing off.